Commander Rachel Brooks stood at the viewport of the EBS Prometheus, her hands clasped behind her back as she watched the repair drones finish the final touches on the hull. The massive battleship stretched over 2 kilometers in length, its dark metal surface gleaming under the orbital station's lights. Even after 6 months of preparation, she still couldn't believe humanity had built something this advanced. "Commander, the final systems check is complete," said Lieutenant David Foster from his station. His young face reflected the blue glow of the holographic displays. "All weapons and defensive systems are green." Rachel nodded, her gray eyes fixed on the distant Earth below. Just 3 months ago, she had watched the diplomatic vessel EBS Harmony disappear into the void, carrying Earth's best and brightest to meet the Xeraxian Empire. 2 weeks later, they received the footage of its destruction. The alien warships hadn't even tried to communicate before opening fire. "Status report," Rachel called out, turning to face her bridge crew. "Engineering reports ready," said Chief Engineer Robert Hayes through the comm system. "The new fusion cores are running at optimal capacity. Those reverse-engineered alien tech upgrades are working better than we hoped." Dr. Emma Wilson spoke up from the weapons station, her fingers dancing over the controls. "Main cannon is charged and stable. Shield systems are operating at 100%. We've managed to improve the energy efficiency by 23% since our last test." Rachel walked to the center of the bridge, her boots clicking against the metal floor. The bridge crew watched her, waiting. They all knew what this mission meant. They were no longer just exploring space. They were going to war. "Play the Harmony footage," Rachel ordered quietly. The main screen lit up with the final transmission. The Harmony's captain, an old friend of Rachel's, stood calmly as he delivered his last message. Behind him, chaos erupted as alien energy beams cut through the ship's hull. "This is Captain Marcus Chen of the EBS Harmony. We came in peace, carrying messages of friendship." The Xeraxians. Static interrupted his words. "If anyone receives this, Earth must prepare. They're not interested in diplomacy. They're coming. God help us all." Rachel turned off the footage. She'd watched it hundreds of times during training, but it never got easier. "That's why we're here," she said, addressing her crew. "The Harmony carried olive branches. We carry something else." The bridge crew straightened in their seats. They had trained together, lived together, prepared for this moment. The Prometheus wasn't just a ship. It was humanity's answer to an uncaring universe. "Dr. Wilson, show me the weapons systems," Rachel ordered. The main screen filled with diagrams of the ship's armaments. The main cannon, powered by technology reverse-engineered from a crashed Xeraxian scout ship, could punch through any known alien shielding. The point defense grid was dense enough to swat incoming missiles like flies. The armor, a combination of Earth metals and alien composites, could withstand impacts that would have vaporized older ships. "Final crew report," Rachel called out. "All 1,200 crew members are aboard and at their stations," Lieutenant Foster reported. "Medical bay is fully staffed. Marine contingent is armed and ready." Rachel took a deep breath. This was it. Humanity's first true warship was about to leave Earth's orbit. They carried the hopes, fears, and determination of 8 billion people with them. "Send the final message to command," she ordered. Lieutenant Foster nodded. "Channel open." Rachel stood straight, her voice clear and firm. "This is Commander Rachel Brooks of the EBS Prometheus. We are ready for departure. The next time we contact Earth, we'll have shown the Xeraxians that humanity isn't as helpless as they think." "Godspeed, Prometheus," came the reply from Earth Command. "Show them what happens when they push humanity too far." Rachel allowed herself a small smile. Navigation. Plot course for the Alpha Centauri system. That's where the Harmony was lost. That's where we'll start. The massive engines of the Prometheus hummed to life. On Earth, Millions watched through telescopes and video feeds as humanity's greatest warship moved away from orbit, its hull catching the last rays of Earth's sun before it disappeared into the darkness of space. The hunt was on, and somewhere out there, the Xeraxians had no idea what was coming for them. 3 days into their journey, the EBS Prometheus cruised through deep space while its crew settled into their roles. Lieutenant David Foster sat at his navigation console, his fingers moving across the holographic controls as he made tiny adjustments to their course. At just 26, he was the youngest senior officer on the bridge, but his skill with spatial calculations had earned him his position. "Course stable, Commander," he reported to Rachel Brooks. "We're running at 40% of maximum engine capacity. All systems normal." Rachel nodded from her command chair. "Good. Dr. Wilson, how are the weapons drills coming along?" Emma Wilson looked up from her station, dark circles under her eyes showing how many hours she'd spent fine-tuning the ship's weapons. "The main cannon is performing better than expected. Yesterday's drill showed a 15% improvement in targeting speed, but there's something else you should see." She pulled up a simulation on the main screen. It showed the Prometheus facing off against 3 Xeraxian warships. "I've been running combat scenarios based on the Harmony footage. The aliens have a weak spot in their shield configuration, right where their engine ports meet their main hull." Robert Hayes's voice came through the comm system. "Commander, you might want to come down to engineering. We've made a breakthrough with the fusion core." "Lieutenant Foster, you have the bridge," Rachel said, standing up. She made her way through the massive ship's corridors, nodding to crew members as she passed. The Prometheus might be a warship, but it was also home to 1,200 people who had left everything behind to defend Earth. In engineering, Chief Hayes stood next to one of the massive fusion cores, his gray hair messy from hours of work. He pointed to a display showing energy flow patterns. "Look at this, Commander. We've managed to increase power output by 30% by combining our fusion technology with the alien power distribution systems. Will it hold?" Rachel asked, studying the readings. "Better than hold," Hayes grinned. "It's more stable than our original configuration. Give me another week, and I might be able to push it to 40%. Alarm suddenly blared through the ship. "Commander, to the bridge." Lieutenant Foster's voice came through urgent but controlled. Rachel raced back to the bridge, finding her crew at high alert. "Report. Unknown contact at extreme range," Foster said, his hands flying over the controls. "It's not matching any known signatures, alien or human." Dr. Wilson spoke up from her station. "Energy readings are massive. Whatever it is, it's big." "Show me," Rachel ordered. The main screen displayed a distant object, too far for visual identification. But the sensor readings told the story. It was nearly 3 times the size of the Prometheus. "Are they scanning us?" Rachel asked. "No," Wilson replied, surprised. "They're sending a distress signal." The bridge crew looked at each other. This wasn't part of their mission, but no one had to say what they were all thinking. The Harmony had been destroyed answering a distress call. "Play the signal," Rachel ordered. A strange, warbling sound filled the bridge, unlike anything they'd heard before. But underneath the alien sounds, there was something unmistakable. "Fear." "Analysis?" Rachel asked. Dr. Wilson studied her readings. "The signal pattern doesn't match the Xeraxian communications. This is something else." Rachel stood silent for a moment, weighing their options. Their mission was to find the Xeraxians who had destroyed the Harmony. But they also represented humanity, and that meant something. "Plot an intercept course," she finally ordered. "But keep our weapons hot and shields at maximum. We're not repeating what happened to the Harmony." The massive ship turned gracefully in space, its engines glowing brighter as it increased speed. The crew worked with quiet efficiency, each person aware that the next few hours could bring either a new ally or a deadly trap. "Message from engineering," Lieutenant Foster reported. "Chief Hayes says he can give us 45% power if we need it. Rachel allowed herself a small smile. That was Hayes, always finding a way to squeeze more power out of his engines when it mattered most. Dr. Wilson, prepare a first contact package, but keep it minimal. No information about Earth's location or our military capabilities. Rachel sat back in her command chair, her voice firm. We'll help if we can, but the safety of Earth comes first. The unknown ship grew larger on their screen as they approached. The crew of the Prometheus was about to make history, one way or another. The distress signal had been a trap. As the Prometheus dropped out of faster-than-light travel, 5 Xeraxian warships emerged from behind a small moon. Their purple-hulled ships looked like giant arrowheads, each one bristling with weapons. Battle stations. Commander Rachel Brooks's voice cut through the sudden tension on the bridge. Red alert klaxons blared throughout the ship as crew members raced to their combat positions. They're charging weapons, Dr. Wilson reported, her hand steady on the weapons console despite the danger. Their energy signatures matched the ones that destroyed the Harmony. Rachel's jaw tightened. So they're the ones. Lieutenant Foster, attack pattern Delta. Chief Hayes, give me everything you've got from those engines. You'll have it, Commander. Hayes's voice crackled through the comm. Those bastards won't know what hit them. The Prometheus moved with surprising speed for its size, turning to present its smallest profile to the enemy. The Xeraxian ships launched their first volley, bright purple energy beams that streaked through space. Brace for impact, Rachel called. But the impacts never came. The alien weapons splashed harmlessly against the Prometheus's shields, creating beautiful ripples of blue energy. Shields holding at 92%, reported Wilson. Their weapons aren't as strong as we thought. Rachel allowed herself a grim smile. Show them what Earth's first battleship can do. Main cannon, target the lid ship. The front of the Prometheus split open like a blooming flower, revealing the massive main gun. Energy gathered at its tip, a ball of bright white light growing larger by the second. Target locked, Wilson announced. Firing. The main cannon fired, and for a brief moment, it looked like a new star had been born. The beam of concentrated energy crossed the space between the ships in less than a second. It struck the lead Xeraxian ship's shields, which flared bright purple and then collapsed completely. The alien ship didn't just explode. It was cut in half, its reactor going critical in a spectacular blast that temporarily blinded their sensors. 1 down, Rachel said calmly. 4 to go. The remaining Xeraxian ships scattered, clearly not expecting such power from what they thought was an easy target. But Lieutenant Foster's skills shone as he kept the Prometheus positioned perfectly, never letting the aliens get behind them. They're trying to surround us, Foster reported, his young face focused on his controls. Not today, Rachel replied. Dr. Wilson, switch to broadside batteries. Let's show them our secondary weapons aren't just for show. The sides of the Prometheus bristled as weapon ports opened. Streams of plasma bolts erupted from the ship, catching 2 more Xeraxian vessels in a crossfire. Their shields held for a few seconds before failing, and the alien ships were torn apart by the barrage. 3 down. Wilson called out, excitement creeping into her voice. The other 2 are trying to run. Oh no, they don't. Rachel stood from her chair. Chief Hayes, can you get us in front of them? Already on it, Commander, Hayes replied. The engines roared as the massive Earth ship cut off the aliens' escape route. Let's make this quick, Rachel ordered. Main cannon, split beam configuration. The remaining Xeraxian ships tried to dodge, but they had nowhere to go. The Prometheus's main cannon fired again, this time splitting into 2 smaller beams. Each one found its target, and the last 2 enemy ships disappeared in twin explosions. As the light from the explosions faded, silence fell over the bridge. They had just fought humanity's first space battle against the Xeraxians, and won decisively. Damage report, Rachel called out, breaking the silence. Shields at 85%, all systems functional. Wilson reported. We barely got scratched. Message coming in from engineering. Foster added. Chief Hayes says, and I quote, "Is that all they've got?" A small cheer went up from the bridge crew, quickly silenced by Rachel's raised hand. "Send a message to Earth," she ordered. "Tell them we've engaged the ships responsible for the Harmony's destruction. All enemy vessels eliminated. No casualties on our side." She paused. "Add that we've proven our new technologies work better than expected." As Foster sent the message, Rachel looked at the debris field that had been 5 Zyraxian warships. The aliens had thought they were hunting easy prey. Instead, they'd learned a harsh lesson about humanity's capabilities. "Plot a course deeper into Zyraxian space," Rachel ordered. "They need to understand that attacking Earth was their biggest mistake, and we're just getting started." The Prometheus turned gracefully and accelerated away from the battlefield, leaving behind a clear message for any Zyraxians who would find the wreckage. Humanity was no longer an easy target. News of the Prometheus's victory spread quickly through alien space. 3 days after the battle, the Earth ship received an encrypted transmission from a system deep in Zyraxian territory. "It's a request for a meeting," Lieutenant Foster explained, studying the decoded message. "From something called the Nexarian Resistance." Commander Rachel Brooks stood behind his station, reading the message. Location: an abandoned mining outpost. "The Nexarians say they've been fighting the Zyraxians for years." Foster looked up at Rachel. "They want to talk about an alliance." Chief Diplomat Laura Chen stepped forward from her station. Her role had seemed less important after the Harmony's destruction, but now it might prove vital. "Commander, this could be the break we need. The Zyraxians can't be fighting everyone alone." Rachel nodded slowly. "Dr. Wilson, what's your analysis of the outpost?" "It's built into an asteroid," Wilson reported, showing scans on the main screen. "Minimal power signatures. If it's a trap, it's a well-hidden one." "Take us in," Rachel ordered, "but keep our shields up and weapons ready." The Prometheus approached the asteroid carefully. As they got closer, they saw it wasn't just a simple mining outpost. The entire asteroid had been hollowed out, creating a massive hidden base. "Multiple ships detected inside," Wilson reported, "but none are Zyraxian design." A new signal came through. The main screen lit up with an image that made the bridge crew gasp. The being on the screen looked like a living crystal, with light pulsing through its transparent body in complex patterns. "Greetings, warriors of Earth," the crystalline being said, its voice surprisingly musical. "I am First Speaker Kar of the Nexarian Resistance. We watched your battle against the Zyraxian patrol. You fight with great skill." Laura Chen stepped forward, her diplomatic training kicking in. "First Speaker, I am Chief Diplomat Chen of the EBS Prometheus. We are honored to meet you." "The honor is ours," Tar replied. "For 30 cycles, we have fought the Zyraxian Empire alone. But now, perhaps we need not fight alone anymore." The Prometheus docked inside the asteroid base. Rachel led a small team to meet their potential allies, including Laura Chen and Dr. Wilson. What they found inside amazed them. The base wasn't just home to the crystalline Nexarians. In a large central chamber, they met representatives from 3 other species: the aquatic Meridians, who moved through floating bubbles of water; the insectoid Krell, with their complex exoskeletons; and the gaseous Vorn, who shifted shape like living clouds. "Welcome to the last free space in this sector," Sar said, leading them into a meeting room. "Each species here has suffered under Zyraxian rule. Each has fought back. But none of us have achieved what you did, destroying 5 of their warships without taking significant damage." Laura Chen spoke carefully. "The Zyraxians attacked our diplomatic vessel without provocation. We built the Prometheus to defend ourselves. And in doing so, you've given us all hope." A Meridian representative bubbled. "The Zyraxians believe themselves invincible. You proved them wrong." Dr. Wilson studied the alien technology around them with growing excitement. "Your technological approaches are completely different from both ours and the Zyraxians. if we combined our knowledge. Exactly. SAR's crystal body pulsed with bright colors. The Nexarians can enhance your shield technology. The Meridians understand space travel better than any species. The Krell are masters of stealth technology. The Vorn can detect ships across vast distances. Rachel listened as the aliens shared their capabilities. Each species had found ways to resist the Ziraxians, but separately, they couldn't win. Together, with Earth's new warship technology, we're not just fighting for Earth anymore, Rachel said, standing up. The Ziraxians threatened our world, but they've enslaved yours. If we work together, we can free this entire sector of space. The alien representatives buzzed, bubbled, and glowed with approval. Laura Chen began drafting alliance terms, while Dr. Wilson already started discussing technology exchanges with the other species. As Rachel watched the humans and aliens working together, she realized the Prometheus had found something even more powerful than its main cannon. It had found friends in the darkness of space. The Ziraxians wouldn't just be facing Earth now. They would be facing a coalition of species fighting for their freedom. And that was something worth fighting for. Dr. Emma Wilson hadn't slept in 36 hours. She stood in the Prometheus's main weapons lab, surrounded by holographic displays showing the results of her latest tests. The crystalline, Nexarian scientist, Sarlin, floated beside her, its body pulsing with excited lights. You see it too, don't you? Emma pointed to a particular set of readings. The Ziraxian quantum network. It's not just for communication. Indeed, Sarlin chimed, its crystal form glowing brighter. It controls everything. Their ships, their weapons, their entire empire. But your main cannon, the energy signature it produces. Commander Rachel Brooks entered the lab, noting the intense atmosphere. Dr. Wilson, you said you had something important to show me. Emma straightened up, trying to hide her exhaustion. Commander, we've made a breakthrough. The Nexarians helped us understand why our main cannon was so effective against Ziraxian shields. She pulled up a new display showing the cannon's energy pattern. It doesn't just hit their shields, it disrupts their entire quantum network. Explain it simply, Rachel ordered, studying the complex diagrams. The Ziraxians built their empire on quantum entanglement technology, Emma said. Every ship, every weapon, every communication system. They're all connected through this network. Our main cannon, by accident, produces exactly the right kind of energy to disrupt these connections. And if we modify the cannon? Rachel asked, beginning to understand. Zarlin's crystal body flickered with excitement. We could target their entire network. Not just individual ships. We could disable their whole fleet at once. Rachel's eyes widened. Their whole fleet. How many people would that affect? Millions, Emma admitted. Every Ziraxian ship, station, and colony depends on the network. If we take it down, she paused, they'd be completely defenseless. The weight of this discovery filled the room. Rachel walked to the viewport, watching the stars. How long would they be disabled? Hours, maybe days, Emma replied. Long enough for the coalition fleet to strike their key military targets. Long enough to end the war. And their civilian populations. Rachel turned back to face them. Their life support systems, their food production, their medical facilities, are they all connected to this network too? Emma and Xarlin looked at each other uncomfortably. Yes, Emma finally said. Everything is connected. That's why it's so effective. And why it's their greatest weakness. Rachel sat down heavily in a nearby chair. The power to cripple an entire empire was within their grasp. But at what cost? We need to call a meeting, she decided. Get Chief Diplomat Chen, Lieutenant Foster, and Chief Hayes, and contact our coalition allies. Everyone needs to understand what we're dealing with. An hour later, they gathered in the main conference room. The holographic forms of coalition representatives joined them, Meridian, Krell, and Vorn leaders all listening as Emma explained their discovery. With modifications to the main cannon, Emma concluded, we could fire a disruption pulse that would cascade through their entire network. The Xeraxian Empire would effectively shut down. How many civilians would be affected? Laura Chen asked, her diplomatic training focusing on the humanitarian impact. Billions, Tar Lin answered. But they enslaved billions more. How many more will suffer if we don't stop them? Chief Hayes spoke up from his seat. Could we target just their military network? Emma shook her head. It's all integrated. There's no way to separate military from civilian systems. The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications. Finally, a Meridian representative spoke through its water bubble. We have all suffered under Xeraxian rule. But if we do this, are we any better than them? Rachel stood up, looking at each person and alien in turn. Dr. Wilson, how long would it take to modify the cannon? 3 days, Emma replied. Maybe 4. Then we have 3 days to find another way, Rachel decided. We'll prepare the weapon as a last resort. But first, we look for alternatives. We target their military installations one by one if we have to. We're here to end their tyranny, not to become tyrants ourselves. The coalition representatives signaled their agreement. As they ended the meeting, Rachel held Emma back. Keep working on the cannon modifications, she ordered quietly. But also look for a way to minimize civilian impact. There has to be a better way. Emma nodded, understanding the weight of their responsibility. In 3 days, they would either find a more ethical solution, or they would have to decide if victory was worth the cost of billions of innocent lives. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and time was running out. The Coalition fleet gathered near the edge of Xeraxian space, over 300 ships from 5 different species, all led by the Earth battleship Prometheus. Commander Rachel Brooks stood on her bridge, watching as the alien vessels moved into formation. Status report, she ordered. All Coalition ships report ready, Lieutenant Foster said from his station. The Meridian cruisers are in position. Nexarian ships have formed the defensive screen. Krell stealth ships are moving ahead to scout. Dr. Wilson spoke up from weapons control. The modified main cannon is ready, Commander. But we're going with the targeted version, right? Rachel nodded. After 3 days of intense work, Emma and Axarlin had found a way to limit their weapons' effect. Instead of shutting down the entire Xeraxian network, they could target military frequencies only. Civilian systems would remain largely unaffected. Message from the Xeraxian home fleet, Laura Chen reported grimly. They're demanding our immediate surrender. Show me, Rachel ordered. The main screen lit up with the image of a Xeraxian fleet commander. Their species looked reptilian, with scaled skin and multiple eyes. This is High Commander Vextil. You have entered restricted space. Surrender or be destroyed. Rachel stepped forward. This is Commander Brooks of the EBS Prometheus. We're here to end your empire's tyranny. Surrender your military forces, and no more lives need to be lost. The Xeraxian commander laughed. You face over 500 warships. Your coalition fleet will be destroyed. Last chance, Rachel warned. Power down your weapons. The screen went dark. Moments later, the massive Xeraxian fleet began moving toward them. All ships, battle positions, Rachel ordered. Chief Hayes, how are the engines? Running hot and ready. Hayes replied over the comm. Whatever you need, Commander. The space between the fleets lit up with weapon fire. Xeraxian energy beams crossed paths with Meridian plasma torpedoes. Nexarian shield bubbles protected coalition ships while Krell vessels struck from stealth. Enemy flagship detected, Foster reported. They're keeping it back, protected by their screening forces. Rachel smiled. Just as we predicted. Dr. Wilson is the main cannon charge. Ready on your order, Emma replied. Her modified weapon was aimed at the Xeraxian flagship, the heart of their military network. All coalition ships fall back to defensive formation Delta, Rachel ordered. Make them think they're winning. The coalition fleet began a fighting retreat, drawing the Xeraxian ships forward. Their formation stretched out as they pursued, eager for victory. "They're in position," Foster announced. "Their flagship is committed." Rachel took a deep breath. Everything depended on this moment. "Dr. Wilson, fire the main cannon." The Prometheus's massive weapon opened, gathering energy. The Ziraxians, seeing this, tried to scatter. But it was too late. A brilliant beam of energy shot across space, cutting through the Ziraxian screenships and striking their flagship directly. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, ship by ship, the Ziraxian fleet began to lose power. Their weapons went dark. Their engines failed. Their mighty warships drifted helplessly in space. "Direct hit," Emma shouted. "Military network is down. Civilian systems are stable. All ships, attack pattern Omega," Rachel commanded. "Disable their weapons and engines only. No unnecessary destruction." The Coalition fleet surged forward. Without their network, the Ziraxian ships were easy targets. Some tried to fight back with manual controls, but they were uncoordinated and slow. "Enemy ships are surrendering," Laura Chen reported, wonder in her voice. They're actually surrendering. Within an hour, it was over. The mighty Ziraxian home fleet had been defeated. Already, reports were coming in from across their empire. Military bases powering down, warships standing down, slave worlds rising up. "Send to all coalition ships," Rachel ordered. "The Ziraxian military has been neutralized. Begin humanitarian operations immediately. Help any civilian vessels that might be affected." As the Coalition fleet moved to secure their victory, Rachel looked at her crew, human and alien working together. They had won not through pure destruction, but by finding a better way. "Message from Earth Command," Foster reported. "They say, 'Well done, Prometheus. You've made history.'" Rachel smiled. They had done more than make history. They had changed the future for countless species across the galaxy. The stars no longer cowered. They shined brightly on a new era of peace. 1 month after the fall of the Ziraxian Empire, the EVS Prometheus docked at Earth's newest space station. The massive structure, built with combined technology from all Coalition species, hung in orbit like a shining star. Commander Rachel Brooks stood in the station's main conference hall, looking out at Earth below. The blue planet seemed different now, somehow smaller yet more important than ever before. "Thinking deep thoughts, Commander?" Laura Chen asked, joining her at the window. "Just remembering where this all started," Rachel replied. "We left Earth ready for war. We came back with peace and new allies." The conference hall began filling with representatives from across the galaxy. Crystalline Nexarians floated beside water-bubbled meridians. Insectoid Krell chittered with gaseous form. And among them walked humans, no longer the newest species in space, but equals among the stars. "The Coalition Council is ready to begin," Lieutenant Foster announced from the doorway. He looked different in his formal uniform, older somehow. Rachel took her place at the circular table. Each species had 3 representatives: military, scientific, and diplomatic. For Earth, she sat beside Dr. Emma Wilson and Laura Chen. The former Ziraxian High Commander, Vex Till, now served as a liaison for his people. "The reformation of our government continues," he reported, his scales a subdued gray color. "With the military network disabled, our warships are being converted for peaceful purposes." "And the freed worlds?" asked a Meridian representative, its water bubble rippling with concern. "All former slave species have been granted independence," Laura Chen answered, checking her datapad. "The Coalition is providing aid and technology to help them rebuild." Dr. Wilson spoke next, her excitement barely contained. "The technology exchange program is exceeding all expectations. The Prometheus's systems have been upgraded with contributions from every Coalition species. She's twice as capable now as when we first launched." "Which brings us to our next topic," Rachel said, standing. "Earth has a proposal for the Coalition." All eyes, crystal facets, sensor arrays, and other alien sensing organs turned to her. The Prometheus was built to defend Earth, Rachel began. But she found something greater. She helped unite us all. We proposed that she become the flagship of a new coalition defense fleet, not to conquer or control, but to protect, to ensure that no empire can ever threaten our peoples again. The chamber buzzed with discussion. A Krell representative stepped forward, its exoskeleton gleaming. Who would command this fleet? We suggest a rotating command, Laura Chen explained. Officers from all species serving together, learning from each other. The Prometheus would be the first, but not the last. Each member world would contribute ships and crew. Together, Rachel continued, we can explore the galaxy. Not as conquerors like the old Xeraxian Empire, but as friends, as equals. The vote was unanimous. As the coalition members signed the new defense treaty, Chief Engineer Hayes's voice came through Rachel's communicator. Commander, you might want to see this, he said. Bring everyone. They moved to the station's observation deck. There, through the massive windows, they saw the Prometheus. But she looked different. During their month at Earth, engineers from all coalition species had worked to refit her. Her dark hull now shimmered with Nexarian crystal technology. Meridian-designed engines glowed with clean, powerful energy. Krell stealth systems and Vorn sensor arrays were perfectly integrated into her systems. And on her hull, beneath her name, new words had been painted. Coalition Defense Force Flagship. She's beautiful, Emma whispered. Rachel looked at her crew, no, her family, standing beside their alien allies. When we first launched, the stars cowered as Earth's battleship entered space. Now they welcome us as friends. Where do we go from here? Lieutenant Foster asked. Rachel smiled. Everywhere. We have a whole galaxy to explore, friends to meet, and peace to protect. She turned to the assembled representatives. The Prometheus began as humanity's answer to a hostile universe. Now she's something more. She's our promise to make that universe better. As the coalition members celebrated their new beginning, Rachel thought about how far they'd come. They had faced war and found peace. They had confronted an empire and created a fellowship. And they had done it not through pure force, but through cooperation, understanding, and hope. The stars no longer cowered. They beckoned, inviting the combined fleet of the coalition to explore their mysteries together. And the Prometheus would lead the way.